Hey everybody, SuperMarioPoke here, coming at you with another Pokemon Wi-Fi battle. Just kidding, it's actually JT. I am JT. I'm just kidding. I love JT. I love that kid so much. It's actually Joe, aka the Butterfreek, and I've got a guest narration going up on Super Mario Poke's channel, as you guys know, considering you're watching this video, and it's not on my channel. Anyway, it's going to be it's actually a really good game, and I'm really glad, and I thank Super Mario Poke for letting me do a guest narration. I am going to start doing this again, so yeah, if you like this, then feel free to check me out. Otherwise, let's get right back into it. It's going to be it looks like it's a rain stallish type team. I guess I'd call it more like a semi-stall, but it plays a little stally for me, so I'm just going to call it a full rain stall team against, I guess, what it would be a clear skies team. Game starts off with a bunch of kind of arbitrary switches, to be perfectly honest, and you know what, this kid's got a Starmie, and you're going to find out that this is a Life Orb Starmie, and man, Super Mario Poke giving it the rain. That really scares the crap out of me. Every time I see a Starmie and I know it's offensive, it's not a, a max HP, max speed leftovers variant or something like that. Hydro Pump in the Rain with Starmie is just scary as shit. He got a really nice Will-O-Wisp on that Randarosu, which actually is going to play into his hand really nicely. It's actually going to allow his Rachi to 1v1 this bad boy, which is kind of ridiculous because this is a specially defensive Rachi in the rain, and if your Randarosu isn't able to take it down, you are going to have some serious issues. So yeah, when you see that someone is playing Rain Stall and they have a Rachi and you have a Randarosu, don't switch it into things that you're not quite sure what it is. Super Mario Poke had a Rotom Cut that's really not used that often, so I guess I could see why he might not have predicted the Will-O-Wisp, but most offensive Rotom variants will have Will-O-Wisp anyway, so it was a really bad play on his opponent's part for playing too overly aggressive with his Randarosu there, because clearly that thing was going to be the key to his victory. I mean, despite the fact that there's no sand power, it just it is the only thing he had to take out that specially defensive Rachi. And that's where planning your attacks really comes in handy. If you're not thinking ahead to figure out how you're going to take out key threats and win the game, you're not going to be a successful player. This is actually a really interesting Gliscor set. I guess it's a fully offensive Gliscor, which is really cool. You don't see that very often, and I think he's able to net himself a surprise kill there on that Alakazam, because I don't think a normal defensive variant would Oko even a Zam. And here's that Starmie. Rain's coming back to bite him in the ass, just like I said. Most Rotom Cuts are specially defensive if they're going to be defensive. I think this one might be as well because it's on a Rain team. It seems like it would, and it's a clear 2-hit KO from a not very effective Hydro Pump, and this Scissor is also going to get bitch slapped by a Hydro Pump. So this Starmie is really causing a lot of issues, and even this specially defensive Rachi is going to get hurt upon. Look at that crit. Nope, just kidding. That's Starmie. It's not even Specs, it's Life Orb, so he still has the ability to switch it up. I guess he's... Wow, man. Okay, so I didn't even realize it was a Scarf Politoed. My bad. Yeah, so Scarf Politoed comes in, saves the day. Probably would have switched into that a little bit earlier. This actually spells trouble once again. He doesn't really have anything that could take out this Snorlax. Curses are going to be really difficult for him to take out. It doesn't look like he has any P-Hazers, and most of his things that can reliably take hits from a Snorlax aren't physically defensive like they normally are. Prime example would be this Gliscor. He goes for a sub here, which I think is a silly play. If he knows that this is a fully offensive Gliscor, he's not going to sit there and curse up while only gaining +1 on his defense while Gliscor is gaining +2 on his offense. It's going to be a losing battle all day, every day. That sub was definitely a misplay there, and it definitely caused him a lot of problems because he would have easily been able to 2-hit KO this Ferrothorn and not died to the Iron Barbs. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure Super Mario Poke is going to have this game in the bag, although it does get a little bit sketchy here. I'm not really sure. Now he's got this thing, which I swear the first time I watched this I thought he had a hacked Randarosu. Not gonna lie, straight up, looks like a Randarosu, but I guess it's that color hack coming into play. Knew it was a Randarosu, or knew it wasn't a Randarosu finally when he wasn't immune to Thunder Wave. But yeah, this I assume Choice Specs Tornadus is just going to run train on the rest of the team with some 100% accuracy Hurricanes. So it's kind of it's a meh for an ending. It's all right. But yeah. Anyway, It's all I really had time for. I'm sorry that I was a little scatterbrained. I'm trying to get this out right now because I told him I would do this a long time ago, and the first time I did this, I ended up making fun of people just a little bit too much. So I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. He's going to wrap it up with a little bit of confusion hacks and a little bit of hurricane. If there's anything to pick up from this battle, it's make sure you plan out your win strategy. In this case, he needed to make sure that his Randurosu didn't get burned because he had a lot of things that the Randurosu would have been able to absolutely run train on. Anyway, hope you guys have a good one. Peace.